Oh, right. Do I do a clap sync?
Yeah, I think we're sure. Well, here,
Are we already live? We
yeah,
are
we're
live. Never
yeah we're
mind.
live. We're going.
Hi, everyone.
Fire forget. We're going. We're going live. So, what is going on, everyone? I am Mike. Welcome back to Network Podcast. What a day to remember! It's Apple event spring loaded. Apple talked about a ton of different products, features, and accessory services that we're going to go through today. And I am joined by my co-host Holden DePardo. Holden, how's it going today?
It's going great. I am really excited to talk about this iMac.
Yeah, me too. I mean the iMac, the iPad, Apple really condensed a lot of information into 60 minutes. It's kind of surprising how much like how well produced the event is. You know, um, we talked about before they're not doing live events, and it makes sense that they're not doing live events, but they really cover a lot of information in 60 minutes. It's very densely packed, and hopefully we'll do it justice with giving it a recap.
Yeah.
So I guess first up, let's talk about, we were trading texts right before the show about they're bringing a paid model for podcast subscriptions to the iPhone, to the iPad, allowing customers to support creators. And really, it's about being able to get ad-free podcasts. I am pretty surprised by this, where they're not only redesigning the app, they're bringing in the channels and ways to discover podcasts. But I'm like, who's going to pay for this? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like people who want to support their creators already have avenues for that.
Exactly.
So I guess this is just an additional one. Because I mean, Patreon takes I think a 12% cut,
Yeah.
whereas Apple's going to take a 30% cut. So as a creator, you're definitely incentivized to go to Patreon, which is established, has it's established. People already use it, and it's very effective. I guess maybe it's just there to kind of catch other people who don't know about Patreon, who don't listen to the podcast and hear people talking about their Patreons, but still want to pay for them and the podcast app. It's strange. You also have to pay in order to open up the subscription option for your podcast.
Oh,
So
really?
it's like $20 a year. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that at all. So, correct or help me understand. If I'm, if I'm Mike and I want to go ahead and support, let's say your podcast, right? I would be able to pay a certain dollar amount, and that's like a recurring model, or is it a one-time fee, or do you know that?
I think it's a recurring like a monthly subscription. I
Okay.
mean, I think it's very much like a Patreon in terms of you're saying I'm pledging to this, but it's a set subscription price as opposed to having tiers like
Okay.
you'd see on Patreon. And then Apple takes 30% cut, you keep 70%, and you hope that the number of subscribers you have outweighs the $20 per year, which isn't a huge amount of money, but I don't understand why they needed to put that there to begin with.
No, it's not a huge amount of money, but so like what you're saying is that if you are an existing podcast, excuse me, if you're an existing podcast, you probably already have mechanisms in place how to engage and reach your audience, and those are going to be like Patreon, so on and so forth. Maybe this is designed for new, people who are just getting started. Maybe it's like where they don't already have an existing base that are following them, whether it's on Twitter, whether it's on Patreon, YouTube. It's just a way, because no one's going to support your podcast in like 9 different places, right?
No, yeah, I can't imagine someone's like, "Oh, I'm gonna support on Patreon,
Yeah,
subscribe star, and in the
yeah.
podcast app and all that." Yeah, no, I'll do
Me-
super chats on YouTube. Like, yeah, I don't think people do all of them all the time.
yeah, I'm not going to do memberful Patreon, YouTube. It's just there's not enough money right in. While it seems like it does seem like it's a great idea, and I just hopefully it doesn't get lost in the sea of other kind of community offerings for that creators create for their audience. So that's just me.
Yeah,
Um, the next thing is really surprising. There's an iPhone 12 in a new color, and no one talked about this at all. Like, I'm so surprised that this
yeah.
did not leak. So the iPhone 12 is now available in this. Is it like a lavender color purple? Right? It's dark purple.
It's like yeah. No, I think it's, I don't know. Let me pull it up again. It looked a little bit lighter to me, but it
Okay.
kept like in the video going back and forth where I'd say it's lighter than it's darker.
Okay.
So let me go to the site to see what it looks like.
So while you're doing that, yeah, so the iPhone 12 is available in a new color. It's only available for the iPhone 12 mini and the iPhone 12, not available for the Pro or Pro Max. And it retains the same pricing. I think that's the thing. But what I think is interesting is that none of, at least to the best of my knowledge, none of the leakers talked about a new iPhone 12 being, coming at this event, and kind of, I think, slipped underneath the radar. I really wonder why that is. I don't know if that was from, maybe it didn't enter production yet because of, it's not available till the end of May. I don't know. Actually, I don't think it's available to the end of May. I could be wrong there.
They've done this. I think they did this with, I can't remember which iPhone it was, but there was an iPhone where they released like the product red version of the iPhone in spring. So maybe it's just, a spring refresh, kind of like how they do Apple Watch and bands and iPhone cases. Maybe it's just along those lines, kind of keeps the cycle going in spring.
Yeah. So I am mistaken. It's available to order this Friday, and then it's available in store on the 30th. April 30th, not the middle of May, like some of the other products that we're talking about. So it's interesting. Maybe if I would have bought an iPhone 12 or 12 mini in October, I might be a little bit upset that there's a spring refresh, but I don't know how many people are going to be upset by the color.
No. I mean, it's not like it has any new features at all. It's a nice purple. I think I would have liked it to be darker if I were to think about getting it.
Yeah.
But
I think so too.
It's definitely a nice looking purple.
Moving on to that, now Apple's talking about, or we now have confirmation. Finally, there's confirmation about Find My and AirTags being available. It's been like 7 months or 8 months about this product. So Apple announced AirTags, and the hardware itself is $29 for a single AirTag, or they have a 4-pack, I think, for $99. This is available to order this Friday, and then it's available in store on April 30th. And what's interesting is that there's this complete UI that is available when you take your AirTag and you affix it to something, whether it's your purse, a piece of luggage, and there's a whole accessory line that Apple has around these. But it does give you exact coordinates of the object or of your AirTag in relation to where you're at. So you can say walk 5 feet or 10 feet, and you get this really kind of precise directions to where it is. I think that's really interesting. They underscored anonymity, so there's someone can't track your AirTag. There's none of that, and it's all encrypted, so no one will be able to find out your locations or your coordinates or where you've been in the past. For $29, I think this is a pretty good deal. And as we were talking about before the stream started, there was the CEO of Tile. Am I mistaken? Tile?
Yeah.
Not happy. I would say maybe that's not happy to say the least. But this is. I think this is a good product. I don't know why he's not happy, because I think allowing Tile and other third-party manufacturers to integrate into this feature is, benefits the entire ecosystem. So it's not just Apple owning the product. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I mean, he says he's going to be going to Congress tomorrow to testify. I don't know. He didn't specify in his letter what his exact concern was. He just says he's skeptical. I don't know what that means. It sounds like when Spotify complains, when a lot of these other companies complain, it sounds kind of like that. So I'm curious what he has to say. But yeah, I mean, you can integrate right in the Find My app. It's not like Apple Watch and other smartwatches, where Apple Watch is a clear feature advantage on iOS.
Yeah.
Where, Apple Watch can just simply do things that other smartwatches can't because of the kind of privacy lockdowns on iOS. Whereas like this is like, I don't see what the distinction is. Like Tile could do maybe anonymous stuff if they wanted to, and increase privacy in their product if they wanted to. I don't see what is stopping them from competing with the AirTags. I don't really know what their complaint is, but maybe they'll elaborate more tomorrow.
Yeah, he's, like I said, he's probably just mad that there's obviously a certain amount of engineering effort or development effort required to integrate into Apple's ecosystem. It's not, it's not just, hey, we turned it on and it works. We turned it on and it works. But they've been singing this song, like you mentioned, for a long time, and I think Apple curbed that sentiment as much as possible by allowing other third parties to integrate into Find My. I guess, like you said, we'll have to see what they say at Congress tomorrow. Who knows? They're crazy. Are you excited by this product? I do think it's interesting because I lose my keys all the time. As we discovered before
Yeah.
the show, I was looking for my security key. It is interesting. If you guys are out there, let me know what you think about this product. Are you thinking about Apple Tags, AirTags, about purchasing this and getting it in? I think I am for sure. $29 seems like a okay deal for me.
Absolutely, yeah. And I might just go for the 4-pack at some point. I don't
Yeah.
know. I'm also curious how well these things sell, how hard they're going to be to get. I'd be curious to see that. The accessories are also quite nice too. I'm definitely not getting the Hermes
Two
loops.
for $299.
Though one of them is 450.
Wow.
And that might be the greatest differential between cost of product versus the accessory for the product. Like you're gonna get a $450 accessory for a
Yeah.
$30 product. I mean that's unbelievable. Why would anyone do that?
I don't know the answer to that question. It's quite preposterous.
Yeah,
But
someone might. Who knows?
but the disparity that you're highlighting there also exists on when you think about the Hermes band for the Apple Watch, and then also the regular Apple Watch bands. So it's like $50 for the normal Apple Watch bands at the very minimum, and the Hermes bands are $200, $300, $400.
Yeah.
So
But it's like it's not for a $30 Apple Watch though. Like that's
Oh.
the crazy part. Is it's a $30 AirTag and you're gonna get a $450 accessory for it. I mean that's
yeah, I got you now.
you could buy 15 AirTags for that price. Like that's crazy.
For the discerning
15
customer,
times more expensive.
yeah, for sure. Anything else you want to add there?
No, I mean I'm just excited to see them. They're cool.
Yeah, they look cool for sure. Everyone's favorite show, Ted Lasso, coming back July 2nd. I can't wait. Second season of Ted Lasso looks great. Such a good
23rd, I think, actually.
23rd. Okay.
I think so.
Such a feel good show. I can't wait for it to come back. Glad to see that everyone is. Glad to see that show's coming back, right? Especially after the successful first season that they had.
Yeah, the trailer it looks like more of what I loved, so I'm excited to see it.
Exactly.
It's gonna be good. I'm very very excited. I've been checking like every week. I'll just check once a week. Like Ted Lasso, is there an update? Is there new information? Like because I've been looking forward to it, and I think it shows a lot of confidence that they announced a new season of this during an Apple event. Did they announce like For All Mankind season 2 during an Apple event? I don't know if they did.
I don't know if they did it, but I don't know if they had. I wouldn't call it runaway, but maybe unexpected success with
Yeah.
For All Mankind that they had with Ted Lasso. Because like Ted Lasso,
Yeah.
like it was just maybe there's a kind of a confluence of different things, like the time that we were in with the pandemic and everything going on, and he just turned out to be a great character that you could really really like. So yeah, I don't know, but I'm excited for sure. Ted Lasso.
Yeah.
Apple TV 4K. So there's a new revision or a new update to Apple TV 4K that's built on the A12 architecture, and that is that's 2 generations ago. Correct me if I'm wrong. That's the iPhone 11, right? Because we're on the A. Is it the
Yeah.
8? Right? Okay. That is $179 or $199 for the 32 or 64 gig, respectively. But what makes this really, I think, unique in the fact that they're now supporting HDR content. So all the content that you shoot on your iPhone today, or maybe even on your iPad Pro tomorrow, is going to be playable and viewable in HDR on your television, assuming that you have a HD TV. And they talked about high frame rate HDR, Holden, and they talked about sports, where they're bringing high frame rate HDR content to the Apple TV. I'm like, oh my God, we just talked about that. Do you remember?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're talking about HDMI and all that integration.
Yeah. Were you going to say something? I'm sorry.
So it's funny too that they also announced that new Siri Remote with it.
Yes.
And when that leak was shown off, I called it kind of. I said, "Oh look, here's this new remote. I bet it's going to be more affordable because one of the biggest issues with Apple TV right now is that the TV costs too much.
Yeah.
The new remote is $20 less than the last Siri remote, but the price of the Apple TV remained exactly the same. So it is a cheaper remote, but it didn't impact the price of the product at all, which I find really interesting. Even for the Apple TV HD at $149, it's still just $149.
Yeah. And I think one of the big downfalls on the current Apple TV remote is the glass trackpad, where
Yeah.
it's just a hot mess. Like you can't, in my opinion, it doesn't navigate very well. And here they're moving to hardware buttons, right? So they're going back to the previous Apple TV remote where it was tactile buttons, right? And there's also like that touch ring around it. So it does look very cool, and they're really, I think, positioning themselves as a destination for your television, where you can control your TV, where before you can't unless you had some HDMI feature. I can't think what it's called, like HDMI CEC for power on. But even if you don't have a newer TV, you're still able to get the kind of the one-touch features on the Apple TV remote, where you don't have that today, which is nice.
Yeah, I'm mixed on the remote. I think
I like
is a better remote than the last one.
Okay.
But I think that the Siri button being on the side is really odd. I will be fine with it personally, but I can see so many people not getting on board with the idea of a button on a controller or a remote being on the side of the remote as opposed to on top of it, like every other remote has ever functioned ever. It seems really, I've never seen a remote with buttons on the side of it.
Yeah.
It just seems like a really, like, why didn't they put volume on the other side like an iPhone? They're like, oh, the Siri button's on the side just like an iPhone. I'm like, well, why wouldn't you do the volume then if that was like your goal? So it just, I don't know, it feels weird.
Okay, I get that now.
I mean, overall though, I think it's an improvement. Like, I would rather have that remote than the current one for sure.
Yeah, the current one is. Oh, I have so many bad feelings about the current remote. It's just like, oh my gosh. And going back to it, where they decrease the cost, I think the new one that's coming out, since there's no glass on it, it won't break, because I don't know about you guys out there, but I know about 4 or 5 people that have the Siri remote, and they've broken the glass either on the top or on the bottom, where it's all cracked glass. So hopefully they're getting rid of that now, and we won't have that problem. Is it the same size, like in terms of dimension? It looks like it, right?
I actually don't know, but looking at pictures of it, it looks thicker.
Thicker, yes, thicker, but in height and width, maybe.
I don't know. Is there a comparison?
Yeah. And while Holden's looking that up, there is also the Apple TV HD, which he mentioned, which is giving you all the same features of the remote. It's still the A12 processor, if I'm not mistaken, and it's $149. So this is a product that hasn't been updated in like 4 years, I think, 5 years, maybe 2016, and was just really, really long in the tooth. But as a side note, that could signal that the folks there in Cupertino are thinking about sunsetting A8 support at WWDC. That would make sense in terms of releasing this.
Yeah, I can't find anything about.
Okay.
Excuse me, a comparison. But one, actually, looking at a closer picture of it, one it reminds me a lot more of the original Apple TV remote. Well, I guess not the original one, because that was like a small little white, like iPod Shuffle looking thing. But for the Apple TV second generation, when it went to being the small black box for the first time, it reminds me of that style remote in terms of how it looks in your hand.
Yeah,
it looks like a bigger version of it.
Nice. Yeah, it definitely looks bigger than the all aluminum one that came out with the third generation here. Wow. Oh, shout out to Jared watching from Chicago, and Juan from the Canarias. Nice. I have family that lives there. Let's see here. I'm excited for that. Now, this is going to be available April 30th to order April 30th, and available second half of May. So still got some time on that one. Anything else that you want to add here?
No, I think that covers it.
I think so either. Let's see here. Now, Juan is saying, let's see here, his MacBook Pro. Oh, hold on one second here. Yeah, I don't know when they're going to get. So Juan's asking about the M1 MacBook, or the M1 coming to the MacBook Pro 16-inch. I think we'll talk about that in a few minutes here, towards the later end of the podcast. Just give us a few minutes. Now, big here is these new iMacs, as they say, yum, in 7 new colors. We have the iMac 21-inch being sunsetted and officially now going to the 24-inch. And correct me if I'm wrong, Holden, there's no change to the existing 27-inch, right? That's still for sale?
Yeah, the 27-inch is still for sale, and the 21.5-inch model that was 1099 is still
Yeah.
for sale.
Oh, it is. Is it just a limited number of configurations?
Yeah, like,
Okay.
very, very limited. You can't even. I don't. They have like different like base tiers.
Yep.
Like there's a 1299, 1499, 1699 option for the new iMac. They only have one tier that you can then configure up, and that's 1099. That's it for the 21.5-inch iMac.
And this gives them a foothold to say we have the iMac starting at 1099, right? Because they do,
Yep.
but it's a really old one. It's small, not very powerful.
You should probably spend the extra $200 and get the new one.
Yeah, yeah. So the new iMac's available in 7 colors. Really, in terms of footprint, the internal footprint is much smaller than before, and it's able to. So they have a 50% reduction in volume because it's super, super thin and narrow. They're able to extend the display to get you 24 inches, and it is, I think, 11.5 millimeters thick in its uniform. So there's no teardrop shape like I think it was in the past, which is really nice. And starting at $12.99. What was really, I think, how would you say this, impressive is that the fan noise under nominal load is 10 decibels, which is super, super quiet. Like that is like a whisper. It's like that quiet. Yeah. So in terms of new features, this is being upgraded to a 4.5K display, right? It sports the P3 color gamut. You still got the 500 nits of brightness, True Tone. And thankfully, they've gotten rid of the potato cam that was on there, and they've now got a 1080p camera, which is doubling the resolution. The cameras on the iMac were so, so horrible. I'm sorry for anyone that owns one. What I did think was interesting is the new 6-speaker system. Like the speaker system looks pretty impressive. I want to hear it. Like I want to listen to it and see what it sounds like in person and like in a room. We'll stop there. Any thoughts from you, Holden?
I mean, every spec there is just fantastic.
Yeah.
The sound, obviously is a huge thing. Just the quieter the computer, the better, I think.
Yeah.
But I just love the new design so much. I think it looks fantastic. It feels like an iMac, but it kind of harkens back to the funness of the you were kind of mentioning before the Yum Macs from the 90s.
Yeah.
It just seems great. I'm so tempted to get one, but I'm gonna refrain. I'm really tempted, but I won't.
Okay, so I think at $12.99, it's interesting from a consumer perspective, thinking about this price point, and it really sets up, where they see the M1, like in terms of like powerful computing. I agree with you. I would personally, I would not purchase this. I don't have a use for it at all, but it does seem interesting from a consumer perspective and what it offers. Like if you, like one of the examples they give it, it's like watching it as a television or as a small television consuming 4K content. Like it's very powerful for that. Not that people are buying iMacs to watch TV. That would be kind of ridiculous. But really, I think importantly that they are now bringing Touch ID to the iMac through these new keyboards that they're launching. And these keyboards are kind of color matched along with the other accessories like the mouse and the trackpad. But it is interesting that they have Touch ID on 2 of the 3 different keyboards, and at least through my investigation is probably the wrong word, but through my searching, you can't buy the keyboard separately right now. Like there's not a plan to do that, which I think is strange. I don't know if you guys are out there if you'd want a keyboard with Touch ID, but I know I sure as heck would. I didn't want to swear there.
When texting about it, I brought up that exact concern because it's like I have the Magic Keyboard. I like it. It's a good keyboard, but I really miss having Touch ID when I'm using my monitor. As opposed to when I use my MacBook Pro on its own. And I would love to get this keyboard on its own. But you brought up a really good point, which was that it could be that there's the secure element is tied to your specific iMac.
Yeah. So I think there's probably, or not probably, there's a process where they have to bond the secure element in the keyboard to something that's on the computer, and that you wouldn't want to kind of, they have to do it, but I would imagine they have to allow new people to buy keyboards. What if keyboards died? Are they not selling the new ones that are in the store?
Yeah.
It seems kind of weird.
Would you have to like plug in some other keyboard temporarily while yours gets shipped out to Apple support to get fixed. It's a strange thing for a keyboard. I
Yeah,
get why from a security standpoint. I think it would make complete sense if that is, the reason, which I think makes complete sense.
totally.
But it's a weird circumstance for sure. And I just want Touch ID on a keyboard, external keyboard, so bad.
I think if you're a laptop user, you definitely feel the pain of not having Touch ID, right? Because if you have the clamshell closed, it's a total pain.
Yep.
Hopefully, they solve this in a later version where, whether it's going to be having these keyboards available for, mass purchase to anyone else. But one of the other things I thought was really interesting, just kind of as an aside, is that the pricing, the $12.99, $14.99, and $16.99 pricing, where they're basically nixing out one of the GPU cores on the very entry level pricing, and as they do on the MacBook Pro. It is really interesting the way that they're talking about this, and they kind of highlighting really the speed and performance in comparison to the previous generation Intel iMacs, really sticking it to Intel as much as they can.
They should, because it stands up so much better.
Yeah, they totally should. Such more better performance in terms of that. Hold on one second here. Anything else that you want to add here on these new the new iMacs?
It makes me one thing that it makes me think about is a rumor from a while ago, actually not super long ago, that talked basically about what we got today, but it included a black iMac as well. We didn't get the black iMac.
We did not.
And so my little tinfoil hat here, my little Sherlock Holmes cap, whatever you want to say, whether it's conspiracy or I'm onto something, who knows. There's only one size iMac. Where's the larger size iMac? If they're keeping around the 27-inch iMac, they clearly feel like there's a need for a larger size than the 24-inch. So are we going to get like a 30-inch iMac later on? And that's going to be more of the Pro version of the iMac. Maybe they won't call it that, but it will have a more powerful M chip in it. Maybe it'll be more capable, and it'll come in a black color. Because Apple loves to kind of take a more expensive version of their product and give it the sleek black color. So maybe we'll see that in the future at some point. Because they did discontinue the iMac Pro. So it's not like they have a plan to continue iMac Pro, it seems like. Maybe this 30-inch iMac will be something more substantial on its own, and it is separate from this iMac in some regards.
And it's completely possible that if they're increasing the size of the screen, that they might need more GPU to run a bigger size screen, because there's not obviously there's a lot of limitations on connecting your Mac Mini or your MacBook Pro 13-inch to an external display, and how much display can push. So that could be the case. We just don't know.
Yeah, and it kind of goes back to something that we, when the M1 chips were first discussed, and Daniel was with us on the pod, talking about what is going to happen with external GPUs, or not external GPUs, but what do they call it? Discrete graphics.
Okay. And
having a separate graphics card from the main chip. Because like a Mac Pro obviously is not going to have graphics built into a single processor. You're going to have more versatility than that. Maybe the 30-inch iMac is where we'll see that kind of for the first time, is having something graphics related separate from the M chip itself. Maybe that's part of it.
That certainly could be part of it. They haven't necessarily addressed the concerns of the prosumer or the pro user, talking about are you able to swap out configurations, and maybe we'll see that in an upcoming iteration of the hardware.
Yeah, maybe.
So let's talk about, if you're okay with it, we'll move on to the iPad Pro. I think was the star of the show. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, of course.
Awesome. So the iPad Pro, Apple refreshed the what was the 2020 iPad Pro for the 11-inch and 12.9-inch. Got really a ton of features, in my opinion. Everything from adding Thunderbolt, which I think is absolutely just gigantic from an accessory standpoint and connectivity standpoint, to adding, basically it's getting now the same M1 processor that is inside of the the MacBook and the Mac Mini and the iMac even now, to give it more versatility and power than it had in the past. I think that what was really interesting is the graphic that they showed up on screen, or they showed on screen, talking about how fast in terms of CPU and GPU performance. And I think the numbers that I captured were 75 times more or faster than the original iPad and 1,500 times more faster than the original iPad in terms of GPU. I was like, wow, that was really impressive.
Yeah, that's a massive, massive jump over a few years.
Yeah, it certainly
Actually,
is.
about a decade now, a little over a decade.
Yeah. So the new iPad, specifically the 12.9 inch, now is coming with mini LED display, which is really going to give you the ability to get more contrast, more brightness, able to go ahead and take on HDR workflows on your iPad for like editing video, editing video and other images where you didn't have that before. Now, what I thought was interesting is that the price point, while it did change, I mean, it's it did go up. It was only $100 more, where everyone was saying that there was going to be a much more significant increase in price from the iPad Pro 12.9 inch that came out in 2020 to the one that they announced today. And surprisingly, it wasn't that much more. I would have thought that there was a little bit more appetite from Apple's side to increase the price even more, but maybe they're scared of the backlash.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't think it's the display. I think is worth it. Like if you are,
This display looks great.
professional level iPad user, that display is sounds incredible. I mean, I haven't seen one in person, obviously, but it sounds incredible.
Yeah. So what I'm really excited about is the Thunderbolt, the connectivity, the docks, the display, and now even if you have this new iPad, they haven't made it clear if it's retroactive or not, but even the new iPad, if you connect it to a Thunderbolt display, you're able to get full resolution on even the Apple 6K monitor, the Pro Display HDR, as they call it, which is like, can you imagine this little tablet? This little tablet right here driving a 6K display? That's actually kind of crazy if you think about it. Like, it's a self-enclosed, fanless computer driving a 6K display.
It definitely started to push this idea of a professional level iPad.
Yeah.
I mean, and this is, I think, with the M1. I think I wouldn't be surprised if this is M1 specific, because I think this is an important distinguishing feature between an A series iPad and an M series iPad Pro.
Yeah.
I think we're really starting to see that dividing line now. Whereas I feel like in the past few years, iPad and iPad Pro were too similar, and when the Air came out, it's like they're effectively the same thing. They need to break it up a little bit.
Yep.
And now I'm really excited for where we're going to see iPadOS go, because we've seen the hardware get increasingly better over time. But like now it's like, okay, we can connect this to a monitor, like a 6K monitor. Like where's the Final Cut? Where's the Logic? Where's these pro level apps? That I think is really exciting in terms of where this is going to go. I think this is probably one of the most significant upgrades to an iPad in a long time.
I completely agree with you, and I think this just sets the stage. And I don't want to sound biased here. I think it just really sets the stage for what WWDC will bring in terms of new functionality to the iPad, because there's not really a good use case that I could think of to continue to handicap the iPad and the user experience unless you were really different. Full stop. There's nothing I can really think of. I mean, as you mentioned, like, there should be pro apps. Those pro apps are probably just coming down the pipe at WWDC, hopefully, because if they're talking about all these new workflows that this piece of hardware enables, well, you need the software there to drive those features forward. And if they're not there today in its entirety, you need something that's going to be the springboard for that. No pun intended with springboard. And hopefully that's the case, right? WWDC should be something very spectacular to see for new features for the iPad, and I'm hype about that. Hype.
Absolutely, 100%. Like, thinking about the hardware capabilities of this iPad is significantly more than my 15-inch MacBook Pro from a few years ago at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, no joke. With the M series chip and the fact that if you get a 1 terabyte or 2 terabyte option, you get 16 gigabytes of RAM.
Yes.
You have Thunderbolt, you have Thunderbolt and USB 4 in there. Like, it's an incredibly capable device from a hardware perspective. Anything I do in terms of like my hobbies, hardware wise, I should be able to do it. The only thing holding me back is iPadOS.
Yep.
I don't know if I could feasibly record on Logic. Well, I can't get Logic anyway, but like record in Logic, do this stream like right here, have all these notes open, like kind of multitask in that way. That's the thing that's kind of holding me back with iPadOS. Otherwise, hardware-wise, this could replace my entire setup. It's that powerful.
And it's that expensive, right?
It's that expensive, yeah.
So the new iPad Pro 12-inch starts at $1099, and you can configure it all the way to the hill. I think it's $23.99 for 2 terabytes and 5G connectivity. That is a lot of freaking money, if you ask me.
Does that include like Apple Pencil, Magic Keyboard, or is that literally just the iPad itself?
Oh, you know what? I don't know. I don't know the answer to the question. I'm sorry.
There's a Mac Rumors article. Let me see.
Yeah. So buy now. It's like it gives you everything and the kitchen sink. So the 12.9 inch 2 terabyte costs $21.99, and you add Wi-Fi. Oh, sorry, you add LTE. It's $23.99. So that does not even include the new backlit keyboard or the Apple Pencil. That's
amazing.
Wow, that is so much money. So much money. If you guys are out there, I'm not saying that you're going to buy the $23 version. If you're thinking about getting a new iPad, let me know which one you guys are thinking about buying, because I'd really be interested if you like iPads and what that would cost. It is a lot of money. $23.99. You really have to have a very a flexible workflow to take advantage of $23.99. What is actually very cool, and I think they absolutely highlighted that in the beginning, was the ability to where the FaceTime camera in the front will actually shift around where you're at when you're on a video call. They call it not perspective zoom. Oh God, what'd they call that? I just lost what it was called.
I think it's called Facebook Portal's Dead on Arrival. I think that's what it's called.
No. Yeah, it should be called that. Where are you? The cameras, true depth.
The only place I've seen it before is Facebook Portal, and that product absolutely tanked.
It's called Center Stage.
That's a good name for it.
Yeah, that is Center Stage. And it's cool where if you're on a FaceTime call, or on a video call actually, Center Stage works with FaceTime and other video conferencing apps. So it is open up to developers, where it'll focus on you, and if you move around the room, it'll then kind of change focus. And then additionally, if someone comes into the frame, it'll work to put both of you inside of the frame. That's actually a really cool feature. Very cool. Hold on one second here. Yeah, $23.99. This is available to order on Friday as well, though it doesn't ship until the middle of May. So still, there's a lot of products where they're not shipping to the end of next month or sometime in the middle of next month. I wonder how hard they were hit by the semiconductor shortage.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. I don't know.
Yeah, because it seems like everything is available. On hold until the middle of next month. Yeah. So that was it from a hardware perspective. Did I miss anything?
I think that covers all of it.
I think it covers all the hardware. So now there's also new, Apple Watch accessories in terms of bands, new iPhone cases. We didn't
see the new bands.
Yeah, no, that's okay. So they do have bands in a few different colors. There's a nice orange braided loop, but not for $100. It's kind of expensive at $100. And there are some a few different cases for the AirPods as well, which I've never seen in the Apple Store before. So a lot of interesting things, to say the least. If you like accessories, I like accessories. I like coordinating my things. I can't tell you how many watch bands I have here. Yeah.
I surprisingly don't. I feel like I'm the kind of person who would have a bunch of bands, but I just don't.
Yeah,
I need to expand.
Yeah, I like bands. Is there anything else that I missed, Holden?
Ooh, there's a deep navy. That's old. That's old.
Yeah, so I think the color's called is it Tulum blue or
Capri Blue Sport Band. There's also Cantaloupe Sport Band. The
uh,
Cantaloupe is a little weird looking, but the Capri Blue is pretty nice.
yep. So go to so there's the sport band, and then the other one is called the braided sport band or the braided sport loop. Do you see it?
Yeah,
And then
pistachio.
there's pistachio. So it's Tomales Blue Solo Loop, Tomales. Sounds like tamales, but it's not. Do you see it? It's like it's not necessarily navy blue, but it's darker than periwinkle. Sorry, that sounds weird that I probably know those colors, but
Oh, I see it now. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And then there's an electric orange sports Braided loop, which I love, but I'm not paying $100 for that band. And
Interesting.
yeah, so and then there's also some sports loops, but I think overall, as a fan, right, of Apple products, a fanboy, I could say that. I'm a grown man, I could say that I'm a fanboy. I think today's event was exciting and definitely had a lot of products in there that, while it was rumored, I think there was still the excitement of, or the magic of watching Apple announce it and show how it's going to impact it. Like, I think at one point I was like, oh my God, I have to have this iPad. Like, I was just that excited about it. And the more I think about, being distanced from the event itself, I still want it. Yeah. Like, it's the Thunderbolt, which got me. It's got a strong hold on me, and that's why I want it.
Imagine having an iPad as powerful as your Mac Mini.
I don't see why this iPad would not be that that powerful.
Yeah.
It's definitely got a lot under the hood, so they say.
Yeah.
The one thing that we didn't talk about, or actually two things, sorry, was there are two new Magic Keyboards, and really the difference is that one is white when one is like a gray colored. But the difference in the Magic Keyboard is now that they are backlit, where today they're not backlit. At 330,
Really?
yeah.
Oh, I'm so excited about that. I didn't know that.
Are you serious?
Oh, I didn't know. I totally missed that. I don't know how I missed that.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah. So there are two new Magic Keyboards. It looks like they support the same viewing angles and the same charging mechanism, but the difference is one is white, or maybe like a off-white, and the other one is gray like they have today, and now the keyboard is backlit. So the big pain point there is that if you want to change the brightness on your... wait, actually, are they backlit? Yeah, so it's backlit today. I'm looking at it right now. Oh, no, it is backlit today. There's no difference. I'm sorry. It's just it's white. I had to look at my keyboard. I'm like, I thought.
Oh, I thought you were talking about this Magic Keyboard. You're talking about the Magic Keyboard case. Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. All right.
So the Magic Keyboard for the Mac, I think, is backlit. Yes. For
that's
Mac.
Nice. Mine is not.
Let's see here. Because I think they
should. I don't think it is.
Yeah, let's see here.
No, it's definitely not. Yeah.
No, yeah, yours is not, but I think that the new one is. Let's see if anyone knows. Put in the comments. I don't see that. Let's see here. Mac Mini, yada yada yada. Mac 24. I wonder if the Magic Mouse still has that lame charging, the lame Lightning charging port underneath the mouse. They should have. That's just should have fixed that.
I don't see it. It just says Magic Keyboard, Magic Keyboard with Touch ID. It doesn't say anything about it having a backlight.
Yeah, tech specs. No, I don't see it either. Maybe that's just yeah.
And looking at a picture of it, it just doesn't look like it either.
No, I think you're right. Yeah, that's sad.
Although it's more rounded now, which is nice looking.
Yeah, it definitely looks more modern. It's been a minute since they updated the Magic Keyboard, right?
Oh yeah, I think it's been a long time. The last time they updated it was when they added Lightning to it.
Forever ago. Let's see here. Yeah, I'm just looking at the white Magic Keyboard for the iPad. Cantilever design. No, it looks pretty much the same. Holden, I don't know about you, but I'm definitely left the event walking away being excited about the event and looking forward to these new products coming out. Is there anything, like if you were going to order something, what would be the one thing that you would have to buy? Like you're like, oh, I love it for whatever the reason is.
I mean, I want to get AirTags.
Yeah.
I'm still really tempted with these iMacs. I just think they're so great. There's something really nostalgic about them for me. I
Yeah.
just have to tell myself it doesn't make sense to buy one for me. And I need to just drop it. But I'm really tempted. I'm very, very tempted.
Yeah. I hear you. I think that for me, other than being a complete fanboy about the iPad Pro, it's AirTags. Whoops, sorry, didn't mean to hit my mic there. It's AirTags, but nothing. The Apple TV I'm excited about, though. I don't know if I would buy it now or wait to buy a new TV. But I'd probably wait there. Yeah. I try not to walk away from the event spending $1 billion. That's my case. I do plan on getting, like I said, the iPad Pro and the Apple TV for review here. So we'll hopefully have that actually in the middle of next month. So a few weeks away. But anything else, Holden, that I think you want to talk about today?
We covered a lot. I think we got it.
Dude, we really, so Apple packed it in with 60 minutes of condensed topics, and I think we packed it in here with 30 minutes, at least just about 30 minutes of 45 minutes of covering everything. So we think we did a really good job. Everyone, thanks very much for hanging out with us today. Really appreciate it. And I think we'll talk to you in the next one.
Have a good one.
All right. Thanks, Holden.